town. I'm the one you call when you need a tin up or down. I'm a tent rental man, I'm working all day, getting those stakes in the ground no matter what they say. From sunrise to the night, I make sure everything's right. Yeah, I'm a tent rental man, I'm working all day.
We are back. Another week of Under the Vinyl, a rental management media podcast. I'm Kyle, and I got my great co-host, Nate, here with me. How you doing today, Nate?
Rough. It's been a long 3 days of golf at a golf resort with no kids and away from my family, and this Monday morning is not the best. My son is homesick, so I think I just got stuck, and I just found out that taking vacation for the next couple of weeks, and I found out that my almost 3-year-old is out of daycare for the next 2 weeks. So I just got everything dumped on me this morning, but we're here.
So what you're implying is that you might go to work for the next 3 weeks instead of using your vacation time?
You know, I contemplated it, but then I thought about how much travel we have coming up for show season and everything else. So I will just suck it up and embrace it and collect those dad points where I can.
Yeah. Hey, did I see some nice airfare this weekend for you? Were you flying a little fancy?
I can't confirm or deny, but it was a good time. It was a good time.
Well, I'm glad you had fun. It looked good. But we have a good
Absolutely.
guest today. I'm very excited. I got to spend some time with our guest in Chicago at ARA's Leadership Conference. It was a very good time. So today we have Jared Nigro from Northbridge, Massachusetts. He owns Evo Tents, which started in business in 2019. Welcome to the podcast, Jared.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm looking forward to it.
So give us some background on how this all came to be. 2019, relatively newish business, and obviously that's pre-COVID. So you only had a year under your belt before that. So I'd love to kind of start at the beginning and kind of talk to how we got to where we are today.
Yeah, absolutely. So growing up, I always wanted to start a company. I never knew what industry I wanted to land in or, what kind of company I wanted to start. So I just worked and essentially saved up money knowing I would eventually start a business. And I saw, or my mom hosted a graduation party for my brother, and I didn't see how the tent went together. So there was a tent, tables, chairs. I didn't see how it went together, but it just looking at it, I was like, oh, this must be an easy industry to get into. And from there, I kind of just dove into it. So I purchased, with the money I'd saved up, I purchased, I think it was 1 or 2 tents, and then, around seating for 100. And then I've just been growing it, ever since. But yeah, I just kind of dove into it. No prior experience either, so it's been fun.
What were your first 2 tents you bought?
A 20 by 30 pole tent and a 20 by 20 pole tent, both from a lower end manufacturer that I do not use anymore.
So you learned that lesson pretty quick, that if you can buy it right online, it's probably not the best.
Exactly. Yeah, bought it right online.
What did the early years kind of look like for you? What were you saying yes to and what were you saying no to? What were your main events that you got started in?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I was doing this on the side for, I believe, 2 years. So I was working at a bank, which I am super glad I had that job. I was in the call center at a bank right across the street from where I live, actually. But I learned a lot of communication skills, both email and phone call, which is super helpful. Transitioning into kind of a sales role in the office here. So I was doing it part-time, and then I eventually got away from the bank to this full-time. But to answer your question, a lot of smaller events, birthday parties, random, kind of miscellaneous. We did do 1 or 2 weddings. And what I would do, eventually bought a second 20 by 30, and I set them up next to each other. So 2 20 by 30s. And I thought that was like a good idea. And that's when I knew I needed a 30 wide. But yeah, mostly small stuff. I didn't have a dance floor yet. And that was kind of a big purchase for me to get, actually. But just small stuff, rarely weddings.
What was the marketing campaign looking like in those early years for you?
Yeah, if you go to my Evo Tents Facebook page and even my personal page on Facebook, I was just spamming posts. Like, I didn't know what to do. So I didn't have Google Ads. Yeah, I use Google Ads today. So it was a lot of Facebook groups. I was posting a lot, and I got kicked out of some. So I'd post like incessantly. Yeah, honestly, Facebook and word of mouth is what started it.
And did you feel like that was a good way to grow the business, or if you had to change it and go back today, would you do anything differently for kind of a newer operator listening?
Yeah, that's a great question. So depending on budget, let's say there is no budget, which is unrealistic, but I would start with Google Ads, definitely. I mean,
Over the
not
Facebook, yeah.
yeah, and I wasn't even advertising on Facebook. It was literally just organic or free posting. But if I had more money or more, if I was more bold, I would have started with Google Ads probably, because as soon
Yeah.
as I did that, it helped a lot, took off.
When do you think you designed your first iteration of your website? Do you know when that was?
Oh man, that the website has gone through so many iterations. I wish it didn't delete as you edit, because I
Yeah.
would love to show people what it looked like.
You didn't start with
Um,
a website right away, though.
I did. I
Oh, you
started with a
did.
website right away. Yeah. Website
Nice.
to me is one of the most important things a business can have, especially a business like ours, I suppose, an industry like ours where you do have to travel. It's not like, word of mouth will get you far, but it's kind of
Yeah.
like you need to show yourself. It's gone through a million, I don't know, probably 86 iterations,
Really?
or maybe
Jesus.
50. A lot, a lot.
So 2019, your first season, then we hit 2020. Wonderful year for everyone.
Yeah.
How did that, what were your initial thoughts, spring of 2020 to how did your year end up and what kind of stuff were you doing in 2020?
Yeah, so the business, it's a little misleading. The company was founded in 2019, but it was November 2019.
Okay.
So my first job, if my memory serves me, my first event was July 4th, 2020. So I don't know how I missed June. Where I am, Massachusetts, May and June, like most of the country, I assume, is super busy for graduations, and I completely missed that somehow because I wasn't doing Google Ads. Um, but yeah, it started slow. It started super slow. And then going into COVID, I didn't I didn't notice I didn't know any better. Right.
Yeah.
I didn't it's not like I had all these corporate and wedding clients that just kind of dropped off. I just never had them. But I did have a mentor at that point and friends within the industry. So I could see, where they were doing well and where they weren't. Weddings weren't doing well, but they were killing it because they had frame tents. I did not have frame tents. So, the restaurants, the medical testing sites, etc., were doing very well for a lot of companies. And I just missed that mark,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
But luckily you didn't have that much overhead yet.
None. Yeah, none.
Yeah. So
I was
that's a
working
good
out of a
thing.
shed.
You were working. That was my next question. So you say you're working out of a shed. Where did you start, and where are you today currently? And how long did it take to get to that point?
Yeah, yeah. So I started at my house where we are now. I have a home office. Eventually I need to have a home and a warehouse I'm sorry, an office and a warehouse connected, but I digress. So I started at my house in a shed that's like falling apart. It's small, like, I don't know, 12 by 20 or something, or smaller. And I would store all my pipe outside. The shed would be for the tables and chairs, and I would have stuff in the basement as well, like my vinyl. So I was here for like probably 2 seasons or 2 years, and then I moved literally right across the street to a warehouse. Um, I'm still there today. It's probably around like 5 to 6,000 square feet. But it's perfect because I didn't look around much at all. I just went up and said, I needed a space that had a ramp and a loading dock, because at the time I only had a trailer, but I knew I would eventually have a box truck. And yeah, they had that set up, which I thought was perfect. It was unusual. I didn't think they were gonna say yes to that. But yeah, so probably within 2 years I moved to a warehouse, which was a scary jump, but it makes all the difference. Having a loading dock is unreal. I love
Mhm.
it. Yeah.
What
So
did
what is your
oh, you can go, Nate.
what's your team currently made of right now? How many people do you have currently?
Yeah, that's a good question. I do have to figure out the full-time equivalent, but just to break it down, I have two people in the office and then myself. I was still going on the field for sure. And then during peak season, with all employees, including somebody that maybe cleans chairs 6 hours a week, probably 12 employees. But the bulk of it is, you know, six to eight on the field, and two in the warehouse. So yeah, like eight to 10 on a given day, I'd say.
Those are
Do you
good
feel
numbers.
like do you feel like that you're moving towards more of a design side, tent side, tables and chairs? Kind of where do you guys fall that you think you try to hone in on that's most profitable for you?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's something I always kind of struggled with being candid, kind of the vision for the company. We're definitely moving toward more weddings, which is great. I don't mind them. I feel most of our clientele is respectful. We don't get many bridezillas, if you will. So I don't mind the
Yet.
weddings. Yeah, exactly. It's depends on, yeah. Um, but tent heavy, no tabletop, probably get into, dishware. We will get into dishware and all that eventually. But yeah, tabletop isn't like a focus of mine. Um, Definitely more the basics, kind of keep it basic, tents, tables, chairs. But yeah, I'm not at a level where eventually soon I want a 40 wide frame and then probably a sailcloth. And that's like the vision for now. So it's,
Mhm.
and staging. So kind of the basics. And then maybe at that point I'll decide, all right, let's focus corporate or let's focus tabletop in general or, et cetera. But for now I'm just kind of growing by the steps that make sense in my head, kind of
Let's
leveling.
take a moment to hear from our sponsors.
This episode of Under the Vinyl is brought to you by Anchor Industries, a fifth-generation, family-owned American manufacturer of tents and clear-span structures. Anchor has spent decades engineering products that last season after season, and they're more than just your supplier. They're a partner committed to helping grow your business. And right now, Anchor's winter discount is live. Get 15% off frame, fabric, and accessories for your tents and clear spans now through January 26th. Make sure you let them know Kyle and Nate sent you. Contact your sales rep today. Call 800-544-4445 or visit anchorinc.com to learn more.
So we hear from a lot of people that they get in that spot as a small company and they're trying to grow, and they kind of get in that stuck spot. Do you feel like you're in that position right now where you're trying to figure out which direction you want to go, if you kind of want to level it out and stay where you're at and hone in more on product and quality? Or are you continuing to grow this? Not saying if you grew it, your quality wouldn't be as good, but do you feel like which direction, there's a certain direction you need to go currently right now, but there might be something different in the future?
Right. Yeah, that's a valid question. So right now I don't feel stuck. I feel like I know the next steps. I don't want to, I don't know if I want to be, the clear top company or the tabletop company or the crazy chair company, but I do know I want to get to a certain size, and we're not there yet. So it's, the 40 wide frame, most likely the sailcloth, kind of the basics as mentioned previously. So I don't feel stuck now. But maybe in the future things will probably change. I'll probably specialize. Um, but
Well, and
yeah,
I like what you just said right there. You will specialize. I feel so many of the small to mid-range companies want to be everything to everyone, to all their clients. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that's where they get themselves stuck or in trouble. Whereas if you specialize, like you just said, like, I want to be really good at these 5 things,
right.
6 things, whatever it is. I think that can take you so much farther than I'm going to have 50 different pieces of china and 50 different chairs and all this stuff. And you just end up spending so much capital on that thing so you don't get to be really good at other things.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's hard to do to specialize, and it's I'm falling into the trap now probably of having I just want to take what I can get
Yeah.
that comes in. I mean I'm a little bit more picky now. If a job seems like it's not for us, it's I'll turn it down. But it is hard to say we're going to be the sailcloth company or we're going to be the decor company. It's
Yeah.
hard to do, but
Yeah.
I agree with you.
So with that, then, are you working more with planners or venues? Do you find one or the other better to work with, that you've kind of put your eggs more into one basket, or are you still just relying on the calls and taking orders from phone calls that are coming in? Where have you made your connections at to stabilize that business?
Yeah, so right now we focus on we rely on inbound pretty heavily. Um, and I'm not sure if it's the area I'm from or just maybe my due diligence. I'm just not great at kind of connecting with those event planners. That being said, we do work with a couple of event planners and venues. And that's something we're working on this winter actually. I have a woman that works in the office that's great at sales, and she is not afraid to meet these people or kind of go out on a limb. So this winter she'll be traveling around introducing the company. So we're focusing more on outbound and making those connections. Even if we just get one or two, event planner, caterer, venue. But to answer your question, I love venues because
Mhm.
even if the venue wants to speak with us directly, that's fine. They kind of have it, they know what they're doing. Or even if they just send us the client, that's fine too. But venues are great. Yeah, they're not as picky as an event planner, which is fair. Event planner has their place too. It's a stressful job, I imagine, but I do love venues.
Yeah, I feel like a venue is the staff there is usually more professional than some event planners who are handling, the small 100-person to 150, 200 people wedding. Only
Mm,
because some of those planners, you realize that I think they planned their own wedding sometimes, and
yeah,
then they think, "Oh, that was easy.
right.
I
Well,
can
and
do
I
this
feel
for a
like
job."
I also feel like you're in a good spot, and your size business is in a good spot to work with venues a little bit better than, let's say, the bigger ones that maybe don't want to come back after hours and things like that, or don't want to come back late night, where
Yeah,
probably feed on that business. So you're like, absolutely, like we'll come back at 11 o'clock, midnight, 1 o'clock, for a fee, and I feel like those venues are great for companies of your size that want to jump on that and partner with and make good connections with.
Yeah.
yeah. I don't know if I think it's a stretch saying I'll jump on it, but we'll do it. But I can't stand it. And
Yeah.
I don't think anyone likes it.
yeah, I don't.
No.
I'm sure nobody likes it. But if you charge enough, you can smile while doing it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
Smile while you're angry.
yeah. While yeah,
You don't
exactly.
have to be angry, Kyle. This business, there's no anger in this business at all. Come on.
Yeah.
So do you think you've been intentional about building the brand, or do you think it's been more organically then, with kind of not so much chasing the business and just letting stuff come in, but making connections here and there? Which way do you feel like you've gone on that?
Yeah, so as far as brand aesthetic goes, from the beginning, that's always been extremely important to me. Giving off that professional vibe, if you will, and friendliness and just a clean look. You're not, to we don't get a lot of requests for backyard birthday parties anymore, to kind of put it that way. It's like if you're coming to us, you're looking for something legitimate. You understand you're going to spend some money, but it's going to get done right. And that has tran you know, resonated with our clients. I remember we had a client last year. He said he went with us specifically because he could have gone with somebody else that does bouncy houses and he knows them well, but he wanted a tent company. So I want to be, a
Hmm.
tent company. And then as far as growth, whether it be intentional or organic, um, like I mentioned earlier, sometimes I struggle with the vision a little bit. So it's been kind of where my clients take me a little bit, if you will. As I mentioned, we're definitely doing a lot more weddings than we used to, and my employees and enjoy that side of it. So far, we haven't gotten many. We do the best we can. Communication's huge, avoids a lot of problems, so it's been good. Um, yeah, so it's not always as planned out as maybe it should be, to be honest.
I feel like that's the nature of this industry in general. Every plan is like 2 minutes away from being screwed and you have to pivot right away. That's just,
Yeah,
there's no tomorrow in our industry. So no matter what the issue is, you have to pivot. You can't, a plan is only good for the minute you're saying it and then it's out the window.
yeah,
But you've mentioned a mentor in the industry. You know a lot about this industry. You and I have had some great conversation, and I see you post all the time in the Facebook groups.
yeah.
Who or what has been your biggest information source? How are you gathering all the information? What are, some advice for some other guys looking to get more info?
Yeah, yeah. So definitely, I post a lot in that Facebook group. I think it's professional tent and event rental, if I'm
Yep.
not mistaken. I've toned it down a little bit, but that has been an amazing source of information and an amazing source of networking because I met so many people through it. And then just honestly going to ARA events or Match or ATA, going to those big events, out of state, but even the yearly events, or even I don't know if Match does it or the others, but ARA. I'm on the board of ARA in Massachusetts. We'll host events for our members, And just going to those events is super helpful because now it's, you're networking with people within your state, which of course is helpful if you're missing a tent part or what have you, or just, you're going to meet people that are different levels than you. So they've already dealt with things that you're dealing with now. So it's just talking with people is super helpful. But yeah, Facebook groups, going to events, and the ARA actually has a mentorship program, so you can find a one-on-one mentor. And that I did that. I met Jet Hennigan, and shout out to Jet at Dreamers Event Rentals in Maryland. Super helpful and a great guy. So he helped me a lot. But yeah, to answer your question, just kind of go out and ask questions. People love it.
Yeah. And that's me and Nate try to preach that all the time that, some of the older guys in this industry, they're not going to just call you and give you the answers.
Right.
But if you call them and start
The
talking
door's
to
open.
them, yeah, the door is always open.
Yeah.
They want to help guys. Like, I'm sometimes envious of like people like you, Jared, with the smaller companies. Like, I think it was much more fun when we were a smaller company than I'm having now sometimes.
It's much more fun when you don't have so much responsibility on you and
Yeah.
you don't have to make the money decisions. That's what it is. Be
Yeah.
honest. Well,
It's
and
very
I'm looking at a lot of your Facebook pictures and things here on your website, and I see you guys do a lot of backyard weddings in the area. So, what do you find the most challenging about these backyard weddings? And what goes into that, as well as what tent manufacturers are you relying on for your current inventory?
Yeah, so I'll answer the manufacturer question first. I have a mix, like probably most companies, which I think is fair. So for my 30 and 40 wide pole, I use Aztec. Same with my West Coast, 20 wide West Coast. And then I have 30 wide Keter, I use Anchor. And then I use Intentional Systems for my 20 wide pole, and then for 20 wide high peak frame, I use Freds. I think that's all of them. So a mix of manufacturers, love
You're
them all.
covering the bases.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have it all. Yeah. But yeah, they're all great. They're all honestly all great. And then challenge, a challenge I've been running into because, as a business owner, of course, you want to step away as much as possible, which newsflash in this industry is extremely difficult. I'm sure in all industries, but so something I struggle with is electricity on a job site or planning of doors on a tent because, well, I guess not so much doors, but if you have a fan, lights, an exit sign or two, it's hard to. I don't always know how many extension cords to bring, and I want to make a map for the guys, but I just bring a bunch of extension cords and three-way connectors, and I know I'll make it happen. Maybe I'm getting a little nitty-gritty with what I struggle with on a job site, but basically, what I struggle with is giving the guys or women everything they need to know, so I don't have to be there, and that's just always going to be a struggle. Could be a tight yard. A stake specifically has to go here. But other than that, dealing with weddings in general, just communication, I think is great. We check in 2 months before, 2 weeks before, and a week before the event, and it just keeps everybody at ease, keeps us on track. For the most part, it runs like any other event, to be honest with you, I'd say.
What are your this is gonna be a new question I'm gonna start asking people because we have this debate in my office now.
Sure.
What are your payment terms?
Payment terms. We do 50% non-refundable deposit, which we might have to change the word deposit. I've heard rumors in the tent group. 50% non-refundable deposit to book, and then 50% 2 weeks prior to the event date. Cancellation, as you know, we all bend. I'm assuming, so it's tricky.
Don't say that out loud. Don't say that.
Yeah. So
That
ideally,
next year's listening right now, Jared. She's gonna call you the week before and cancel, make you feel
yeah,
guilty.
exactly. It's tricky. I don't know if you want to get into cancellation, but yeah, it's
No, I love talking about stuff like this because
okay. Yeah. So sometimes we'll do a credit, but so the tricky thing about a credit is that it depends on when they cancel. Because if a bride say have a wedding in 2 weeks and she cancels, and I give her credit that's good for a year. Say it's $2,000 her deposit. She's taking 2 event dates for $2,000 because I am not booking a $4,000 wedding in 2 weeks. So that's my gripe with a credit. or sometimes we'll do half the deposit back or full deposit back or nothing. It depends on how hard I'm willing to fight, to be honest with you.
I love the thought behind that you were losing 2 weekends, because it's
Yeah,
true.
it's true. Yeah, because people,
And
really is.
my other thing, your hope is that they're not going to call you.
oh, and cancel? Yeah, no.
No, your hope is that if they cancel, they're not going to use it in the year.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
That's what you're banking on, is that they won't
Yes.
reuse it.
Yeah.
Odds are they're going to use it,
Yeah.
and you've now lost 2 weekends to this
Right.
bride,
Right.
and that's the problem.
Yep.
But we all have hearts.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, we do. But and going back to your talking about planning ahead and getting things out there, I hate to tell you, but no matter how much bigger you get, it doesn't get much easier. I hired a project manager up in Nashville this year. I don't want to call it micromanaging, but I still feel like sometimes I should be there, even though I give them
Yeah.
all the information in the world. It's hard in this industry just to let go. That's why Kyle decides he wants to play CDL driver from time to time. But we also, I think we talk about this day in and day out, is once it gets in your blood and you go do it, it's like, yes, I want to take a step back. Yes, I'm tired. Yes, I don't want to go out there, but I kind of really do want to go put my hands on something, be out there with the guys and that camaraderie and everything else. And I noticed, like, on your page, like, you post a lot of pictures of your guys and your crews, out there having fun and enjoying it. And that's what it's all about. I mean, in that small business, I think you are probably grinding a little bit harder, if not all harder than these bigger companies, because you gotta get to where you want to be at some point. But keeping the crews happy is huge. So I think being out there with them and just showing them how much fun it can be if you let it be, is huge
Yeah.
as well. And so how are you keeping those guys motivated in your small business?
Yeah, so I'm pretty fortunate, and this might not resonate to many. So I've had the same guys for like, give or take, same guys for like 2 to 3 years. So it's been, they're all friends of friends, or all friends with each other, which good and bad, by the way. But so they've all, it's been easy. Like we're all just, happy most of the time. And when people start complaining, I'm like, we're at the finish line, or here we go. Or I'll just start like getting hyped because it's fun. Like,
Yeah.
'cause, it can suck, but I tell the guys, it's like, this year, we didn't get much rain at all. What we did was all on the weekends, which was awesome because we don't work the weekends, frequently, and it gets us business. So like, I'll just, kind of instill on them, like, yeah, like, I say a lot. I say it can always be worse. Like if it's freezing out, I'm like, well, at least it's not raining. And if it's raining, I'm like, well, at least it's not cold. Or like, it can always be worse. And then I just put my head down, and I think the guys, we all just kind of try to get it done, but we goof around a ton. Like sometimes I'll have to reel it in a little bit, but just having fun, it's like, why not? I don't know. It's cool. Like we're going out here, we're working outside and setting up tents. Like what a cool job. I don't know. It's fun. It's a really good time.
You have to rein it in part on the goofing off thing.
Yeah.
I'm going through that now where I'm not their friend anymore. They
Yeah.
finally all have started to hate me, and I've realized that that's what has to happen.
Mhm.
And that's the hardest part, is because I was like you on every job site, it's fun. I miss that part of it. The goofing off, that you're having a fun, you're laughing, you're having a good time. And then eventually you have to cross the line of now I have to be the boss. And then that's when it sucks.
And there's a fine line, but I've been there with that in my the last company that I worked for, where you had to put your foot down and be the asshole. I'm sorry, but sometimes you got to do it, and it is what it is. But it's for the betterment of the company at the end of the day. And I had a guy that took my position that I kind of mentored, and I put my foot in his butt a lot when I was there. And then when I left, he kind of took my position, and he called me about 6 months later, and he goes, you were kind of an asshole when you were here, but now I understand why. He goes, and now I'm that guy, and everybody's calling me that, but he's like, now I totally understand why, and I get it. And they do over time. I think it's hard, but with a small crew, I'm sure it's even harder to, really kind of balance that as well.
Yeah, no, that's something I definitely struggle with 100%. Especially because some of the people I work with I'm the oldest one at the company. I'm 28. But so everybody's like 21 to 25, and some are, most are friends. They're all friends, but um, next year we might be losing a couple people because they're going to or they're graduating. They're going to move on to something else. So I told Danny, he's my crew lead, that next year I'm not friends with anybody. Like we have a fresh slate coming in, but it's hard. It's gonna be hard, and I'll probably fail at that. It's like I just like to be fun and like
Yeah.
talk to everybody, but it's just not. It's tricky. It is a fine line because then they learn you and they know what can push your buttons, but like not too far.
Yeah.
And kind of get away with things.
Well, and
But
sometimes they don't know where the line is.
that too, and that's something that right, because I left it blurry.
Yeah.
They don't know where it is because I'm exactly. But something that actually someone on the board of ARA taught me. She's a mom, and people will be late or whatever, and she said, as a mom or as this or as that, I get it, like I feel you, like I'm with you, but as a business owner, like you gotta show up on time. They're like, no, I get it. So like that has helped her, she said recently. So I'm gonna give that a try, I think. Like, as your boy, like
I
dude,
don't know if you should say as a mom though.
yeah, I'm gonna skip that part. But yeah, trying to relate to them. Like there's two different halves of Jared. There's the fun, like I'm your boy, but then there's also like I'm running a company and payroll sucks.
Yeah.
And like we
Yeah.
gotta do, you know what I mean?
And also, I found if you share the numbers, that might be a little, it's kind of intimidating to give those numbers out, maybe as a smaller company, but to at least give them some kind of insight to say, look, this is why I care. This is what I'm trying to do right now. This is where we're at, and this is where we're trying to go. And in order for us to get a new building, a new truck, a new whatever it is, this is what I need from you all. And this is why sometimes I just got to put my foot down.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I do share the numbers, but I share the good ones. I should share the bad more often. I
Yeah.
tell them about
You should
payroll.
share the bad.
No, you
Yes,
should share the bad
100%.
more than the good. Like
Right, I
Correct.
agree. Like exactly.
I've started telling my guys when they mess something up, like, all right, okay, that cost us $1,500.
Right.
Thank you.
But
Right.
if you break it down to them, I mean, and it can be, I just had a meeting with our guys at the end of the year, and we went over the numbers of, what we did, and just talking about what we lost and what we did good on, and it just helps because when they're going to go back out to this job, then they know, hey, I'm going to put fuel in the tanks before I go out there. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. But, and then jumping over to the Tenox side. So do you guys you don't have a Tenox? You do have a Tenox?
I do not have a Tentox, but many people
Okay.
are telling you to do that one.
All right. So that was my next question is, what are you doing to stay away from the Tenox, and what pieces of machinery are you guys using currently?
Yeah, so that's a super good question because that's a big thing for me heading into 2026 is something I need to change. So I was talking to one of my guys about just scheduling and what have you, and he's like, yeah, it sucks. Sometimes they'll send 3 guys, and I think we should have 4. And I'm like, all right, that's a valid concern. Like sometimes you're right. Sometimes we should have had 4. Sometimes it makes sense to have 3 with a longer day versus 4, save 2 hours, and it costs less to just have the 3. But I said another piece of this puzzle that we're not discussing is efficiency on a job site, because I never talked to him about this. And I said, we can get an electric dolly and a hydraulic stake puller. So to answer your question, right now we're using a stake driver for sure, Rhino stake drivers. We have 3 of them, and then we have 3 jack jaws. So very rudimentary. But there's things that can really level that up without the tent dogs. If you're dealing with a hill, well, now it's not a big deal. You have the electric dolly, but there's a give and a take because now things the bulky and heavy if it dies or what have you. But I think, yeah, leveling up and investing in my guys is the next big thing I have to do. Different carts, different dollies, electric things, hydraulic things,
Do
machinery.
you have labor concerns over the next 5 years? I know you said you don't like to look at vision.
Yeah. No, I struggle with vision. I don't mind looking at it.
I don't mind looking at it.
Yeah. Yeah. If I'm speaking candidly, something I struggle with is I want to pay people really well, and it's just hard. Maybe at my size, or maybe in general in this industry.
No, I think
something I would
it's hard
love-
in general.
Yeah, I assumed. I would love for this industry to change in that regard, but it's hard. It's niche. You don't need tents all the time. It's not like construction where you're constantly fixing roads. It's like you need a tent here and there. But so in that regard, yes, having top performers or managers, paying them well. As far as like kind of like here and there labor, I feel like it's fine. It's always going to be as it is what it is situation. Um, you even you have the third party companies you can use, or you'll always have the college kids.
Yeah.
But for a career path, I do get nervous. Yes.
Yeah.
And then with that labor as well, just I feel like I pitched a 10ox on every dang episode that we're on. So Andy, you need to start writing me a check. But at this point, I think, looking at why I asked kind of about what you're using and the different machines and things you're using currently is because I think that to get to the point of being able to pay people more, just like what you're saying, that 10ox is going to take you to that next level. Whether that be the smaller one or moving to a 5 series or whatever that looks like. I think if you can invest in the guys a little bit and just say, hey, these are the numbers. This is what it costs to get a 10ox. This is where we want to go. With this 10ox, this can alleviate a couple guys or one guy or whatever that looks like on the job site. Now we can maybe take 2 jobs in a day, and now we're being even more profitable rather than just the 1 or 2 on a weekend or whatever that looks like. So then I can pay you guys more. And then you can do what you want. Yes, you're investing $60,000, let's just say, in the 10ox up front or, over a span of time. But I think you look at what that's going to save you as hiring 2 more employees, 3 more employees, then you can go back and look at paying those guys more. And that's kind of the way of this industry. This industry is more about efficiencies than anything. And if we can be efficient in labor and different things like that, then we can afford to pay people more and ultimately not burn them out.
Right. And I know you're right. I'm just afraid to make the jump because, to be completely honest,
Scared money don't make money, Jared. Come on, baby.
I know. It would completely transform the way we operate currently.
Yeah.
For example, nothing is palletized in my warehouse. Like I don't have a forklift, so it'd be a big jump, and I need another vehicle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And that's the only, I'll give you that one. It's not just, I'm buying a 10ox. It's, I'm buying a
Right.
10ox. I'm buying a truck.
Right.
I got to redo my whole operation. There is a lot that goes into it.
There's a long winter time ahead, Kyle. A long winter time ahead.
Hey. I'm trying to help the kid.
I'll get to it eventually. I've been taking, so the way, just to kind of put you into my mind, I went 20 wide pull, then 20 wide frame, then 30 wide pull, 40 wide pull, 30 wide frame. So I step up. I take steps. I'm not, it slows me down maybe, but that's fine. I'm comfortable. I want to do it right.
I think it's
Slow.
smart. Some of these
Yeah,
guys go 20 wide frame to 20 meter structure, and I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You skipped
yeah,
everything in between.
Right. So I'll get to the 10 talks for sure. 100%.
What do you guys, speaking of winter, what are you guys currently doing, or do you keep everybody on during the winter? I mean, just in general with different projects to work on, or are you laying some people off, or some guys find other jobs? What are you guys currently doing?
Yeah. So what we do is I have one person full time in the office year round, and I have one person part time in the office. We keep our hours the same, which I might change that up, but it's always 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. all year round. And then I have one person, Danny, a crew lead part time during the winter, which, see, you got to find the right people because it works for him because he sells vintage clothing on the side, and he gets busy in the winter. He's like, this is great. And he also appreciates, yeah, and I think, my generation and his generation more than you guys' generation appreciate it, but, being at home and kind of like a balanced lifestyle. But to answer your question, yeah, 3 people, which would be 2, including myself, 3 full-time equivalent the winter. We're working on, I do not have a tent washer. We'll have a tent washer eventually. So we scrub vinyl, work on processes, organization. We're going to redo the whole warehouse. Like, we have to move things around, and training guides for next year. So we've been keeping busy, honestly, which is good because I hate the winter. So I'm keeping busy. Goes quicker.
And you mentioned just kind of the work-life balance. Do you have kids of your own?
No, I do not.
Okay. So you're 28 just grinding it out here, and you don't really have to have the balance right now, but you're eventually going to make sure that you find that.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I do appreciate a balance for sure. That's something I struggle with. Sometimes I'm like, this year I was good about it, actually. I kind of want to take anything that came in. Not that I'm going to do something I'm not capable of and make a fool out of myself, but if there's a last minute 20 by 20 or 40 wide, and I'm like, we're already slammed. I'll either pay the guys extra or figure it out. Um,
Yeah.
but it wears on you for sure. And I'm young, so I'm like, let's just do it. Let's grow the company as much as I can, and then I will, eventually need that balance for sure.
Well, wrapping up here then, Jared, what excites you most about Evo Tents right now and for the future?
What excites me most? What excites me most is having eventually you'll walk into my warehouse and it will look like a Home Depot. Super organized. No, it'll look like a Walmart. I don't know. Something very organized. There's gonna be tape on the floors, everything color coded, signs like Home Depot has hung up. Like I want it to be dialed in.
Mm-hmm.
And just, seeing where it will go. I mean, it's I say it often to my team. It's like we're a bunch of 20-year-olds running a company. These brides are trusting us with, a $10,000 wedding. We don't get that often, but a $10,000 wedding, it's like, it's crazy. These people have no idea. I'm not even 30. None of us have kids. But we do a good job. People see what we do. We take it seriously. I'll fix something if it goes south. So it's fun to see where it will take us, I guess.
But just keep that in the back of your mind and use that as motivation. You are a 28-year-old that is grinding with his buddies and having a good time right now. And where this can go, if you're only doing a $5,000 wedding, occasional $10,000 wedding now, think of where you can be in the future and use that as motivation. Because there isn't very many people your age that are willing to dive in and grind it out like you are. So just keep building off that, and we'd love to have you come back on in another year or two and kind of see where you're at. And hopefully you're at that Home Depot level, or you got the 10 ox,
Yeah.
you got the 10 ox, or everything's palletized, or different things. I think
Yeah.
it's exciting to hear people like you at your age that are willing to put in the effort, because this isn't a fun industry if you don't let it be. And it can
Right.
be really tough and miserable, and it can burn you out really fast. But I think that you're finding the goods in it currently, and I just think you just need to keep doing that.
Yeah, no, thank you. I appreciate the kind words, and I'd love to be back. We'll do a Jared recap. See where I'm
Yeah.
I love it. A Jared 2.0. Let's do that.
at. Yeah.
Well, Kyle and Jared, it's been a good episode here. And yeah, let's see if we can get you back on, see where you're at, and see how things are going. And good luck over the winter and for this next season.
Awesome. Thanks so much for having me, guys. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
This has been another episode of Under the Vinyl, a rental management media podcast.